Have you ever seen someone, maybe someone you know who's incredibly smart, works really hard, but they just stall?
Mm,
They hit some kind of invisible ceiling,
right.
right? And it seems like they're held back by something they can't quite put their finger on, despite all that talent and effort.
Yeah, it's like a recurring pattern, isn't it? A hidden behavior that just seems to derail them.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing today, a deep dive into exactly those kinds of patterns. We're drawing on insights from executive coaches, psychologists, really powerful stuff.
And this comes from the research, the articles, the notes that you, our listener, provided.
That's right. Our mission here is to unpack these career-hindering behaviors and hopefully arm you with some strategies to navigate them.
Think of it as a practical shortcut, really. A way to understand these common Achilles heels.
The Achilles heel.
Yeah, not just theoretical flaws, but specific, actual behaviors that can trip up even the most promising careers. The goal here is concrete insights, actionable stuff for immediate behavioral change.
And let's unpack that Achilles metaphor for a second. From Homer's Iliad. You know the story, right?
Mm-hmm. Dipped in the river Styx.
Exactly. Invulnerable everywhere except that one spot on his heel where his mother held him.
And that one seemingly small weakness, that's what got him in the end.
Right. Despite all his strength. But what's striking, I think, is that it's not about being flawless. Everyone has these weak spots.
Absolutely. The really successful people, they aren't perfect. They've just learned how to compensate, maybe delegate, or hire someone to fill that gap.
Or they work on strengthening that area themselves.
Exactly.
They manage it.
And a key point from our sources is that the focus isn't really on deep psychological analysis, right? Even though that informs it.
Correct. It's much more about identifying and changing specific observable behaviors. I mean, these authors, they're executive coaches. They work in really high-stakes situations.
Like grooming someone for a huge promotion.
Or, frankly, helping someone who's about to get fired.
And this knowledge isn't just for you personally. Understanding these patterns in people above you or below you, that can seriously boost your own effectiveness.
Okay, so let's make this practical. Our sources identified about a dozen patterns, but you gave us material that really shines a light on 10 of them. So that gives us a great focus.
Perfect.
We're going to explore each one, look at some real-world examples, and talk about actual strategies for change.
Let's do it.
All right, first up, the acrophobe. Never feeling good enough. This one can be kind of baffling from the outside, can't it?
It really can.
You see these highly driven, super talented people. They reach amazing heights professionally, but inside, they feel like they're constantly in over their heads.
Because they don't deserve it.
Yeah. Remember Andy, the commercial real estate broker example?
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant with clients from his own background.
Uh-huh.
But put him in front of someone from, like, old money, a clearly privileged background, he'd just freeze up, less articulate, looked uncomfortable.
That internal struggle is fascinating because all the external evidence, the promotions, the wins, it just doesn't land. They still see themselves as the outsider, the hick from the sticks, or whatever their internal narrative is.
Where does that come from?
Often, it traces back to a negative self-image formed way back.
Yeah.
Sometimes psychological stuff in childhood, or maybe classist messages, like that client who kept hearing, "Don't be behaving like a big Mick" from his parents.
No. And that leads to
Subtle self-sabotage, often. Being late, procrastinating, not quite going the extra mile. It's often invisible to others, but the cost is huge.
like Philip, the IT guy who wouldn't step up to management.
Exactly. Kept missing promotions because deep down he just wasn't sure he was up to it. You see this sort of up and down, accelerate and break career path a lot with acrophobes.
So the insight for the acrophobe isn't about competence. It's about perception of competence.
Precisely.
The path to change starts with what radical honesty. Seeing where the internal script doesn't match reality.
Yes. And instead of trying harder to prove you're good enough, the focus shifts to dismantling those small self-sabotaging behaviors that reinforce the not good enough feeling.
So looking objectively at how you create hurdles, not returning calls, missing deadlines, even just being late.
Right. It's less about external achievement and more about that internal alignment, getting the inside to match the outside.
Okay, for that internal insecurity, let's shift gears to external rigidity. The meritocrat.
Uh-huh.
The always right standoff.
Yes, the meritocrat.
This is the person who feels they have to fight the good fight,
Mm.
right? Sees everything in black and white, often drives their supporters crazy,
Mm-hmm.
like Sam, the academic example. He could see nuances until you challenged him.
And then boom, rigid.
Yeah, suddenly it was his way or the highway. Only one right answer, no compromise.
And the challenge is, while that might seem noble, it rarely works in business. Business is compromised most of the time.
Right, like the Digital Equipment Corporation engineers.
Perfect example. Built amazing machines, technically brilliant. But the market shifted to PCs, and they just couldn't compromise their vision.
So they built stuff nobody wanted anymore.
Pretty much. It's like that fencing analogy in the source refusing to give ground.
Hmm.
You might think you're winning territory, but you're just getting metaphorically stabbed. It can be fatal in business.
So if you're dealing with this, or maybe see it in yourself, where do you start? The strategy seemed counterintuitive.
It is. You actually jump onto their side first,
Yeah.
ally with them. Agree their idea is excellent, which it often is. Validate their frustration that things aren't more meritocratic.
Okay.
Then you draw that critical distinction,
Mm-hmm.
the difference between being right and being effective.
Ah, right, versus effective. Like the Carter versus Reagan example.
Exactly. Regardless of politics, Reagan was generally seen as more effective in getting his agenda through. You frame it as a puzzle. Okay, great idea. Now let's figure out how to make it happen. How do we get it adopted effectively?
Got it. Engaging them in the how, not just the what.
Precise.
Okay, next pattern. The hero. The more, better, faster, burnout.
Oh, the hero. We all know one.
Constantly doing too much, right? Pushing themselves, pushing everyone around them. More, better, faster, 24/7.
That's the mantra.
And it's not about money, usually. It's about chasing the unattainable, the impossible standard. They totally ignore the need for recovery.
That Titanism concept from Lopez Pedraza is spot on, scheduling 3 lunch meetings at the same time.
Constantly apologizing for being late or leaving early.
Yeah. But what about the impact on others? That's often the hidden cost, isn't it?
Definitely. They can be oblivious to how it affects their friends, their kids, and they're incredibly demanding on their teams.
Like Stephanie, who burned the midnight oil just as much as her team, but couldn't figure out why they eventually rebelled.
Or Kim, the brilliant one, authorized to hire 20 people for a new project.
But she undermined herself completely.
Because she insisted on screening everyone herself, refused to delegate hiring.
Right. Few met her impossible standards. The workload crushed the existing team. People quit. Classic hero self-sabotage.
And the roots often go back to parents with super high expectations.
Yeah, parents who were never completely pleased. It fosters that relentless drive for more.
So for the hero, the first step is just noticing that feeling, that frantic spinning plates or juggling hand grenades feeling.
Absolutely, becoming aware of the internal frenzy. But this pattern is tough to break because, let's face it, it often does bring success, at least initially.
True. So Kim's solution was interesting, hiring an assistant specifically to tell her when she was demanding too much.
And manage your calendar meticulously. It highlights how crucial an external observer can be, someone to give that direct, objective feedback.
Yeah, you need that outside mirror sometimes. Okay, next, the peacekeeper, avoiding conflict at any cost.
Ah, the conflict avoider.
These folks will shun confrontation,
Right.
even if it means burying creative ideas or important truths. That story about Brian and his father was powerful.
The windshield incident?
Yeah. Brian breaks the windshield, apologizes. Father just nods. Then a 3-hour drive home in total silence. Never mentioned again.
Chilling. And the core dynamic there is this deep fear of loss, right?
Loss of friendship with peers.
Fear of abusing authority with subordinates, fear of usurping power with superiors. It covers all directions.
And it creates a catch-22, doesn't it?
Totally. Because they never get experience resolving conflict, the fear just grows. They suppress anger, avoid the situation, and so they never learn or build confidence.
Which leads to conservative thinking, lost opportunities,
Yeah.
vital pushback gets stifled.
Exactly. New ideas often require a bit of healthy conflict to emerge.
So how does a peacekeeper overcome this? The advice was interesting. Become a naturalist.
Yeah, like an observer at work. Watch how others handle conflict effectively, fearlessly. Study them.
And then practice saying, I'm sorry, in low-stakes situations first, like with store clerks.
Right. Just to get comfortable with the words, make the act less loaded. Build that muscle.
And crucially, when you do apologize at work, be ready to accept the other person's anger without getting defensive.
That's key. Just listen. Acknowledge their feelings. It builds a new pathway for engagement.
Okay, from avoiding conflict to, well, maybe embracing it a bit too much. The bulldozer, the win-lose warpath.
The bulldozer, yeah, sees everything as a zero-sum game.
Win-lose. All about getting the biggest piece of the pie. Like Jim, the law partner patrolling the halls with a baseball bat.
Slapping it into his fist.
Yeah, that's quite an image. And the sources note this is seen more often in men.
Interesting. What's their key impairment?
A real difficulty taking others' perspectives. They're often totally oblivious that they're making enemies, which tanks their long-term career.
Even just occasional stormy episodes can do serious damage.
Huge damage.
Yeah.
Because those wounds heal very slowly, if at all. Jim's undoing at his new firm was exactly that. Partners worried about client discomfort, staff morale plummeting.
Because he berate associates, do the bat patrol.
Right. Firms compete hard for talent and clients. They couldn't afford him chasing people away. So for the bulldozer, the approach has to be really direct.
Unequivocal. Like the source says, if a comedian thinks he's funny and others don't, he's wrong.
Blunt. Okay, so step 1 is radical self-awareness. Noticing when you bulldoze. Make a list.
Exactly. Then practice sincere apologies. Again, starting small, low stakes. Build comfort.
And again, don't get defensive if the other person finally vents their anger when you apologize.
Just listen. Acknowledge it. It's part of rebuilding trust.
Okay. Pattern 6. The rebel, looking for a cause.
The rebel. Always challenging authority, breaking rules, often in the name of truth or honesty.
Like Andrew, the consultant. Wore weird ties, made a show of taking company fruit.
Exploded in meetings saying, how come I'm the only one who gets it?
Yeah. What's the paradox here? They see themselves as unique, but
They're often stuck in this kind of out-of-date, adolescent mode, basically replaying childhood struggles with authority figures at work.
interesting. Like they fear losing themselves in a team.
Yeah, and that internal shame can be uncomfortable, so they double down on the righteousness of their cause. It's a defense mechanism, really, protecting themselves from feeling bad by insisting they're right.
And the source mentioned an economic downturn often exposes them.
Right. When times are good, maybe their antics are seen as amusing. When things get tight, suddenly it's just annoying and costly, like Andrew's mentor, who eventually got pushed out.
So for the rebel, the path forward is self-reflection, identifying triggers.
Exactly. What situations, what kind of authority figures set you off, and recognizing how it plays out not just at work, but personally, too. These patterns don't just switch off at 5 p.m.
Good point. Okay, pattern 7, the home run hitter. The go for gold now obsession.
Constantly swinging for the fences.
Obsessed with spectacular success, and they want it now. Often go it alone, looking for applause, amplified by all the get-rich-quick messages out there.
And the key difference here, say, from someone paralyzed by fear, is that the home run hitter does take the plunge. They try.
Right. And there are 2 types. Early adopters, like a young Bill Gates.
Though he's a risky role model, statistically speaking.
And then the middle-aged midlife crisis types, like Warren.
Yeah, driven by this desperate need to redeem his father's perceived failures, dreaming of buying that big house.
But most organizations rely on steady growth, right? Not constant blockbusters.
Exactly. They need simply excellent and reliable, predictable performance year in, year out.
So how do you break free from that all-or-nothing mindset? Warren had to grieve the death of his dream.
Yeah, that dream of instant, spectacular success. He had to accept a regular job, learn the ropes of consistent performance first.
And managers can use compensation task assignments strategically.
Right. Making it clear decisions are business-based, not personal, if someone isn't ready for that steady, long-term role.
Okay. Pattern 8, the pessimist warrior. Fear in the driver's seat.
The Eeyore of the workplace.
Like Mike at the hospital, resisted any change. Even a free well baby care program for the community.
Because it was a dangerous precedent, right? Seeing threats everywhere.
What's going on internally there?
They often project their own feelings, assume everyone else is as worried or ashamed as they are. They can be great in risk analysis or quality control.
But not leadership.
Generally, no. Leadership requires taking calculated risks, inspiring people, and anxiety is contagious, isn't it? It chills innovation.
And that hypersensitivity to shame leads to procrastination.
Yeah. Better to be blamed for not doing it than risk criticism for how you did it or the risk involved.
So Mike's experiment was key for him. Keeping quiet.
And seeing that others would voice valid concerns. He didn't have to be the sole protector or the designated worrier.
He could even join the yay-sayers sometime.
Exactly. The insight is becoming aware of what makes you anxious and how you might be transmitting that anxiety.
Okay, next up, the emotionally tone-deaf. The Spock disconnect.
Yeah, the Spock. Almost emotionally tone-deaf.
Struggle to recognize or understand emotions in themselves or others. Hyper-rational. Problems are just logical puzzles. All bones, no flesh.
And the distinction here is important. Unlike meritocrats who feel emotion but try to exclude it, Spocks seem to have repressed or just don't access their own emotions much.
Which leads to things like Not apologizing for interrupting.
Lack of empathy, just not getting it when someone's upset or excited. It's that contrast between feeling types making compassion-driven decisions and thinking types using objective criteria.
And for a CEO, this is a huge disadvantage.
Tremendous. So much of leadership is attracting talent, wooing stakeholders,
Yeah.
that requires reading people, connecting emotionally.
So how do you overcome this? The advice is to see empathy as a learned skill.
Yes, exactly. It can be learned. Like Terry, the brilliant IT designer who was coached by colleagues.
They gave him feedback on his words, gestures, lack of eye contact.
And he basically scanned that data like an algorithm to learn new social patterns.
Wow. And the emotional audit with friends or family.
Yeah, a way to help identify unrecognized feelings and their triggers, using trusted outsiders.
Okay, finally, pattern 10. Loose lips. The lack of boundaries blunder.
The overshare.
Struggling with personal and professional boundaries. Too much self-disclosure. Like Thao, the travel agent who lost a client and her job.
By revealing confidential travel plans at a cocktail party. Yikes.
Where does this often come from?
Often environments growing up where self-disclosure was encouraged, privacy discouraged, no psychological walls.
And initially, people might find it refreshing. A breath of fresh air.
For about 5 minutes. Then it quickly turns to discomfort, even fear. Coworkers realize nothing's really private, their own stuff might not be safe.
Even in supposedly flat organizations, there are still boundaries.
Subtle, but crucial. And it often comes down to motivation. These folks often have a high need for affiliation, wanting to be liked, connected.
Whereas managers prioritize power and achievement.
Right, for which discretion is key.
So, for loose lips, what's the path? Choose your environment carefully. Avoid hierarchical places.
That can help. But mostly it's about recognizing the need for psychological distance between self and work, embracing the beauties and benefits of silence.
I'll struggle to change, though.
Yeah, talked herself out of another job. The warning is pretty stark. Loose lips will sink your ship.
Okay, wow. That's a powerful tour of the 10 Achilles heels.
Yeah.
But now, let's go a bit deeper. Unpack the underlying dynamics, the why behind these behaviors.
Yes, because addressing these roots gives a much more comprehensive path to change.
And understanding these forces helps not just with yourself, but with understanding others too.
Absolutely. And this brings up a really important point about career success. These 4 dynamics we're about to discuss. They're core to what executive coaches work on.
It's that realization many MBA or engineering grads have later, right?
Exactly. They focus hard on finance, accounting, the hard numbers.
And maybe dismiss the soft skills courses.
Yeah, organizational behavior, psychology, leadership. And then years later, they realize those were often the difference makers. Your people skills frequently determine success or failure.
Okay, so the first dynamic, taking others' perspectives. Empathy as a superpower.
Understanding motivations, viewpoints, it's a huge competitive advantage, as Machiavelli pointed out.
All men will see what you seem to be, but only a few will know what you are.
Precisely.
So how do we gain that perspective? The sources mention formal models.
Yeah, practical tools. One is assessing work-reward values. The idea is simple. People don't all work for the same reason.
So figuring out what you value, lifestyle, variety, challenge, using that card sort exercise.
Right, and then, crucially, applying that thinking to colleagues. Stop projecting your values onto them.
And the other model, assessing work mode from Jung.
But applied practically, not deep theory. Think about how people process info and interact. Are they idea generators, jumping on new possibilities?
Or deep thinkers, connecting complex ideas, seeing the long game.
Exactly. The point isn't rigid labels, it's recognizing different approaches to work more effectively together, and maybe even tapping into your own less developed side.
Makes sense. Dynamic number 2, coming to terms with authority, navigating the power landscape.
This requires some honest self-reflection on your relationships with managers, past and present.
That exercise sounds useful, recalling specific interactions, picturing them in different settings.
Just observing your own reactions and feelings first, without overanalyzing.
And this often reveals that reactive stance towards authority, like we saw with the rebel.
Yeah, where directives are instinctively seen as attempts to restrain you. That intensity can fuel creativity, but it can also undermine leadership if it's not managed consciously.
So it's about bringing awareness to your own relationship with power and authority figures.
Exactly. How does it shape your interactions?
Okay, third dynamic, using power, embracing your influence. People seem ambivalent about power, don't they? Desire
Yes.
it, but also fear it.
Very much so. But the sources highlight the positive side: power of righteousness, empowerment, leaders like Jack Welch using it effectively.
And a key problem is disavowing power. That can damage your career.
Hugely. Like Susan, who couldn't effectively challenge that undermining subordinate and got reassigned herself.
Where does the fear come from?
Various places. Historical abuses, maybe personal experiences. Then there's the other extreme, the obsession with being the alpha, like Ralph challenging doctors until he got fired.
So the strategy for us, for you listening, is to consciously map your organization's power structure.
Yes, and understand what you offer to those who control resources and decisions. What's your value proposition within that structure? Don't shy away from using your influence effectively and ethically.
Got it. And the final dynamic,
Yeah.
looking in the mirror, examining your self-image.
This is about the gap between the internal mirror, how you see yourself, and the external mirror, how others see you.
And it's easier to dismiss positive feedback if the internal image is negative, right? Here, great job, and think, I was just lucky.
Or they're just being nice. It connects back to those core developmental challenges: building competence, forming identity. A negative self-image is huge for the acrophobe, the could have been.
And that personal flaws exercise sounds intense, but useful. Recalling shame, staying with the feeling briefly.
Even just 15, 20 seconds. Just allowing the feeling without immediately escaping. The sources say that simple acts can bring understanding, break the avoidance cycle. It can be quite therapeutic.
And then there are the hidden influences, unexamined values, parents' dreams, like Kim, whose mother had strong ideas about success.
Right, so asking yourself, what messages did I get about work? What family roles did I play? How do they affect me now?
And the complex role of money.
Yeah, being dishonest about its importance can mislead you. But reducing everything only to money invites alienation.
So cultivating other sources of value is important. Meditation, nature, mentors.
Things that help you combat alienation and listen to that inner wisdom, your heart of hearts.
So bringing this all together,
Yeah.
what's the core lesson for your career?
It really comes back to what many successful people learn, often the hard way. Those people skills, understanding organizational behavior, psychology, group dynamics, leadership, are frequently more crucial long-term than the purely technical hard numbers skills.
That's such a critical point. And the sources emphasize there's no complete cure for these patterns, is there?
No, it's an ongoing intelligent struggle, a process of refinement.
But that struggle itself is a measure of success. The difference between your innate stuff and what you fashion from it.
Well put. And genuine change often starts not with clarity, but with that sense of alienation and discomfort, frustration, uncertainty.
Not knowing the immediate outcome.
Right. But that discomfort is actually an opportunity, a chance for deep learning, connecting with your heart of hearts. Even if the path isn't obvious yet, it just takes a bit of courage to take that first step.
So we've covered a lot today, a deep dive into these powerful Achilles heels, from the acrophobe to loose lips, and the deeper dynamics driving them. As we've said, awareness really is that crucial first step to unlocking your potential.
Absolutely. And as you reflect on all this, maybe ask yourself, if you were to pick just one Achilles heel from our discussion today to focus on, and one new behavior, just one, to try this week, what would it be and why? Continue that self-reflection, find the courage. It's your journey to navigate